You paused before clicking this. Not because you weren't curious, but because you were. And that split second of hesitation, that little voice that said, "Should I really watch this?" That's the exact feeling we're here to talk about. Because you already know what this is about. You know exactly what this is about. Your brain has a filing cabinet. And in that filing cabinet, there's a drawer you don't talk about. Not with your partner, not with your therapist, not even really with yourself, except in those moments when you're alone, when the lights are off, when you're 3 clicks deep into something you'll clear from your history before you even finish. And what's in that drawer? Scenarios, images, dynamics, things that, if someone asked you directly in the daylight over coffee, you would deny with your whole chest. You'd be offended they even suggested it. But at 11:47 p.m., with your phone screen dimmed and your finger hovering over that Incognito tab, suddenly your brain doesn't need your permission anymore. Suddenly your morals take a back seat. And here's the thing that keeps you up after, not during, but after. The thing that makes you stare at the ceiling or immediately reach for your phone to scroll something else, anything else, just to push the thought away. You liked it. Not the reality of it. You don't actually want that. You know you don't. If it happened in real life, you'd be horrified, disturbed. You'd remove yourself from the situation immediately. But in your head, when it's just pixels and neurons and that little dopamine switch that flips right before you finish, yeah, you liked it. Your brain doesn't care about your values. It doesn't care about the person you think you are or the person you're trying to be or the version of yourself you present to the world. Your brain is older than your morals, older than your shame, older than the part of you that learned what's acceptable and what's wrong. Your brain just wants the button pressed, and it's very, very good at finding buttons you didn't even know you had. So it gives you scenarios, and most of them, they don't make sense. They contradict you. They go against everything you believe in, and that's exactly why they work. Because your arousal doesn't need a moral framework. It needs tension. It needs contrast. It needs something that feels forbidden, uncertain, out of your control. It needs the thing you're not supposed to want. And once your brain finds that thing, it loops it, over and over, until the scenario becomes the ritual, until the shame becomes part of the appeal. Let's be clear about something. This isn't about what you'd actually do. You're not a bad person for what gets you off. You're not broken. You're not secretly harboring some dark truth about yourself that's just waiting to come out. You're just human. And humans have this weird thing where the brain treats fantasy and reality like 2 completely separate operating systems. They don't talk to each other. They don't share files. What turns you on in your head exists in a space that has absolutely nothing to do with your real-world desires, boundaries, or sense of self. You can fantasize about something and simultaneously know, with absolute certainty, that you would never, ever want it to happen. And your brain? Your brain is fine with that. Your brain doesn't see a contradiction, but you do. Because you're the one stuck in the middle, trying to reconcile the version of yourself that exists in your fantasy with the version that exists everywhere else. And that dissonance? That's where the shame lives. Here's what happens after you finish. You close the tab. Maybe you clean up. Maybe you don't. But within seconds, that little voice comes back. The one that was quiet a minute ago. The one that stepped aside while your brain did its thing. And it says, "What the hell was that?" And suddenly you're back in your body. You're back in your morals. You're back in the part of you that has to make sense of what just happened. And it doesn't make sense. So you do one of 2 things. You either rationalize it. That's just a fantasy. It doesn't mean anything. Everyone has weird thoughts. It's fine. It's normal. Or you bury it. You tell yourself you're not going to do that again. That was the last time. You're done. You're moving on. Until you're not. Because 2 days later, maybe 3, maybe a week, you're back. Same scenario, same tab, same split second of hesitation before you click. And the cycle starts again. You want to know why you keep coming back to the same thing? It's not because you secretly want it. It's because your brain has learned that this specific scenario gets the result. And your brain is efficient. It doesn't waste time experimenting once it finds the formula. So it replays it, refines it, adds little details, changes the context just enough to keep it fresh, but not so much that it loses the core tension. And you're just along for the ride. You didn't choose this. You didn't sit down one day and decide, you know what? I'm going to be into this now. It just happened. And now it's filed away in that drawer. And every time you open it, it feels a little more familiar, a little more like yours. And that's the part that scares you. Not the fantasy itself, but the fact that it's your fantasy. That your brain picked this. That out of everything it could have latched onto, it chose the one thing that makes you feel the most conflicted. Let me tell you something you already know but don't want to admit. The shame isn't a bug. It's a feature. The guilt you feel after, that split-second panic where you think, what if someone knew? What if someone could see inside my head? That's not a sign that something's wrong with you. That's part of the appeal. Because the fantasy only works if it feels wrong. If it felt safe, if it felt aligned with who you are, it wouldn't have the same pull. Your brain needs that tension. It needs the contrast between what you want in the moment and what you'd want in reality. And the shame after? That reinforces it. It tells your brain, this is forbidden, this is secret, this is mine. So you keep it locked away. And every time you open that drawer, the shame gets a little more familiar, a little more like part of the ritual. Until eventually, you're not even sure where the arousal ends and the shame begins. Here's the thing no one tells you about sexual fantasy. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to align with your politics, your values, your identity. It doesn't have to reflect the kind of sex you actually want to have or the kind of person you actually want to be. It just has to work. And the stuff that works, it's almost never the stuff that makes sense. You think people who fantasize about dominance actually want to control every aspect of their lives? You think people who fantasize about submission actually want to give up their autonomy? No. Most of the time, it's the opposite. The fantasy is a release valve for the part of you that doesn't get expressed anywhere else. It's a space where you can explore the thing you'd never actually do, because you'd never actually do it. Your brain knows the difference, even if you don't. So why does it feel so uncomfortable? Because we live in a world that tells us our fantasies are supposed to mean something. That they're supposed to reveal some hidden truth about who we are. That if you get off to something, you must secretly want it. Or worse, you must be it. And that's not how it works. But try explaining that to the part of your brain that's convinced you're one bad day away from becoming the thing you fantasize about. Try explaining that to the voice that says, normal people don't think about this. Spoiler, yes, they do. You're just the only one honest enough with yourself to admit it. You're not going to stop. You know that, right? You can tell yourself this is the last time. You can promise yourself you're going to find healthier fantasies, whatever that means. You can try to retrain your brain, redirect it, shame it into submission. But you're not going to stop because your brain has the formula now. And it's not letting go. The best you can do, the only thing you can do, is stop fighting it. Stop treating it like evidence of some moral failing. Stop pretending that what happens in your head when you're alone has anything to do with the person you are when the lights come back on. It doesn't. You know it doesn't. But you'll keep checking anyway. Keep scrolling, keep clicking, keep opening that drawer just to make sure the shame still feels the same. And it will. Because you need it to. I'm not here to absolve you. I'm not here to tell you it's okay. I'm not your therapist. I'm not your friend. I'm just the voice that says the thing you've been thinking but won't say out loud. You get off to scenarios you'd never actually want. And that doesn't make you broken. It makes you predictable. And I'll be here when you come back. Because you will. You always do. If you made it this far, you're already in the loop. So you might as well subscribe. Because I've got more where this came from. More mirrors, more discomfort, more things you thought only you felt. Go watch the others. You know you want to. And don't worry, I won't tell anyone you were here. See you at 11:47 p.m.